Okay, for my ISU, I created a piece of art and it's called The Weight of Knowing. And it's an art piece I drew. A lot of stuff are drawn, and then I made poems as well. And then basically, I chose the name "The Weight of Knowing" because it connects to my topic, which is the tragedy of truth. Hence, why truth is big in the middle. And with like all the stories and the stuff that we've gone over in class, I found that a connection, and that basically when the main characters are like pursuing truth and searching for the truth, like that's when the plot thickens or they die or everything goes downhill. So that's why I decided to do it for my topic. And then this is what my art piece looks like. So again, the name is at the top. The big truth is because that's my topic, and the letters are supposed to be broken. That's why there's some of it out. I drew a human heart being stabbed through with a knife in the middle, just because to like kind of represent the topic, how like when the truth is found out, the heart gets broken. And then also all these like words around kind of connect with that. So there's like heartbreak, ignorance is bliss, tragedy, blindness, incest, loneliness, doubt, temptations, corruption. All these are kind of like go with all these stuff. And then these four brown stuff are all the poems that I made. I did Oedipus Rex, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Gutter Child, and Hamlet. Now I'm gonna read all the poems and then I'm just gonna talk about them and like what resources I used to make them. First, I'm gonna read Oedipus Rex, which is the story where he unknowingly killed his father and then married his mom, and his children are also his siblings. So it's a whole lot of incest. Beneath the veil of a riddled night, a kin sought truth, a beacon light. With every step, the shadows grew, a web of faith, a path he knew. A mother's arm, a father's throne, unseen the sins he'd make his own. The oracle's voice, a haunted thread, foretold the doom where love had led. Eyes wide open, yet blind to see the cost of knowledge, agony. To grasp the truth, to spare the lie, is to unveil and still to die. Oedipus falls, the gods may jeer, a tragic king, yet bold and clear. For in his ruins a truth remained, the search for light, endless pain. And to help me make this poem and come up with my response, I used JSTOR. I used an article called The Self-Destruction in Oedipus Rex by Faber MD, and he's a part of the American Imago group. And basically, I feel that this poem reflects Oedipus's journey and the pain that he caused himself by seeking truth in darkness. I feel like he focused on his relentless search for the truth of his orness, only to discover that he unknowingly, of course, killed his father and married his mother. And I wanted to show how the pursuit of truth was driven by his desire to save his land from the plague, but ultimately it brought pain to his life and revealed some devastating consequences. I tried to add some imagery to the poem to make it easier to pay attention to and read, and I tried to capture the moment that Oedipus realized his role of he was fulfilling the oracle's predictions. And for me, I feel like this poem highlights like the paradox of the truth and how it can like inspire but it can also destroy at the same time, and how his just determination and his grit to uncover the truth only brought him pain and self-inflicted exile. Okay, now I'm gonna read Dorian Gray, which is the one where his friend Basil makes the painting of him, and the whole book is like obsessed with beauty. That's the main truth of it. And basically, he like gets really into the painting and some weird mess up views, and he stays beautiful, but the painting is like super ugly and weird. In Doria's mirror, beauty gleamed, a face untouched, a life esteemed. Yet truth, a shadow, bide in time to shatter youth's unyielding prime. To paint a lie bore every sin, each lust betrayal itched within. While he remained a flawless guise, his soul corroded, truth despised. The mirror cracked when truth awoke, its whispering weight too much to cloak. The canvas screaming, his secrets bled, revealing all the life he fled. A beauty mask, a cruel facade, truth stripped him bare, left him marade. For in this end, the soul betrays a life of lies, a truth that sails. To make that poem, I used the article that we talked about in class by Heather Seagrove on JSTOR. It's actually called The Hard Science, Psychology, and Empress Art in the Picture of Dorian Gray. And to be honest, this poem didn't really help me like write. I mean, this article didn't really help me write the poem, but it helped me like learn more about like psychology and why Dorian thought what he thought, and how like those like misogynistic and weird worldviews shaped that time and shaped those people, and like why basically men acted how they acted and how that translates into today. And I actually found that one really interesting. And an explanation of the poem, basically, I wanted to make it more about like appearance versus reality, as seen in Dorian Gray. I wanted to capture how basically his outside beauty remained untouched while his portrait absorbed the weight of his sins and his betrayal, his lust, and his moral decay. And I feel like there's a big contrast between how he like presents himself to the world, but how he really is, and the horrid truth that he has locked inside the portrait, and how basically lies and self-deception corrupted his soul. And for me, like from this making this poem, I learned how like beauty and denial of truth leads to tragedy. Next, I'm gonna read Hamlet, which we literally just finished in class. So if you don't know what's going on, that's your fault. But his father's dead, and a ghost tells him that his uncle killed his father, and then his mom and his uncle got together after. And basically, the whole time he's struggling with if he should kill his uncle or like let him be alive. Beneath the veil of Denmark's throne, a deed of murder cold as stone. Thy uncle's hand with envy stained struck down the king in power gain. A spectre rose in moonlight air, the father's ghost a grim despair. To thee, my son, I must confide, thy uncle's hand caused regicide. A prince enraged, his heart consumed, by justice called, yet fate ill-doomed. Each step he took, a cost was paid, in blood and love the truth betrayed. A poisoned blade, a fatal drink, all fell to ruin on the brink. For truth, though just, can oft divide, and leave but sorrow in its stride. Okay, this is really awkward. That's actually Hamlet. I was showing you Gutter Child the whole time, but let's move on. In this video, I used a crash course video. It was an hour long, and it basically just summed up Hamlet, and it talked about his actions and how a lot of them were out of pain and grief, and like how pain and grief can affect a person. And in my poem, I also wanted to talk about that a lot. Basically the whole story, how Hamlet was just like dealing with grief and pain, and he didn't really know what to do, and all his actions were made out of betrayal, and he just wanted justice for his father, and how he went through so many different things. Like his pursuit of truth was led to consequences he couldn't put back, his loss of love, and how all his relationships were fractured. And then in the final moment with like the poison blades and the poison drinks, how finding the truth on really like it didn't really go anywhere, and basically how everyone dies is how it ended really sad. And for me, this like I was able to learn about how like dealing with painful truths, how and like confronting people, how that could be really hard, because really that's just what like Hamlet went through. And yeah, Hamlet was actually probably one of my favorite books that's my little brother. And finally, I'm going to read the Gutter Child poem. Gutter Child was the story with the Green Book, and how there's basically two lands. There's the gutter and there's the mainland. And Almina was born in the gutter, but she grew up in the mainland. She was adopted, basically. And she went to a school that isn't like the best school, but it's not like the gutter and it's worse, so it's in the middle. And how they have depths that they have to work up. And how she was basically treated special. And then like all this stuff went down when she got pregnant, and then she went to live in the gutter, yeah. Born beneath the shadow's veil, a world of chains, a muted tale. Almina walks where dreams grow thin, a truth burden, a hope a sin. Promises whispered, sweet and cruel, freedom's marriage, a phantom's rule. In the gutter's grips, the truth lays bare, a life of struggle, none to spare. Choices like jagged glass, a future stolen, a tethered past. Survived, they say, with a quiet plea, but what's the cost of humanity? Their truth is heavy, soaked in pain, a system built to scar and maim. Yet in her eyes, defiance gleams, a spark of hope, a thread of dreams. The tragedy looms, but so does the fight to claim her voice, to seek the light. For in the gutter where truths collide, the seed of change refuses to hide. And then I made this poem about just the hard truths and realities and the system that Almina was around and that she had to face, and how like she had to deal with that, and how it shaped her and kind of held her down in a way. I was also like a big takeaway from this poem that I was able to take is how like although like the bar was set low and people wanted Almina and people from the gutter to fail, they were able to use that as motivation, and it gave her strength to keep fighting for a better future. And this kind of helped me in how the truth is painful sometimes, but it can also be like a first step towards change. And I really thought of this song "Fight the Power" by Public Enemy, because this song was made by a boy band, and again it deals with racism. This song's kind of old, but a lot of the lyrics like stuck with me. Like for example, like you gotta give us what we need, you gotta give us what we want. Fight the power, fight the power. Yeah, I'm gonna play the song for a little so you guys can hear. So again, yeah, I was able to connect that song to my poem, and I even put some of the lyrics, like "Survive, they say, with a quiet plea, but what's the cost of humanity?" That's in the song too. That is at 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and yeah. And to finish off, instead of just talking at the end, I made a final poem that summarizes my whole presentation that I'm gonna read in 2x. In Oedipus Rex, the truth was snare, a prophecy's weight too heavy to bear, to blind his faith, yet sought to know, until the truth struck its final blow. In Hamlet's halls, the truth did creep, a ghost whispers that stole his sleep. Revenge and doubt, a maddened flame, the quest of truth consumed his name. In Gutter Child, hearth truths unfold, a world of choices yet cruel and cold. Almina's strength, though truth do sting, forged a past where hope might cling. And in Dorian Gray, with truth concealed, a soul's corruption was revealed. A portraits bore what truth had wrote, a bitter price for beauty's soap. A truth, a beacon, a howling flame, revealed our hearts yet shamed the game. For though it shines, it's not always kind, to scar the soul, it blows the mind. To thread with care when you truth case, it's not the light that you'll embrace. The path is dark and end unclear, and often paved with pain and fear. To seek the truth, it's court despair, but in its shadow, the wisdom is there. The tragedy lies in truth we find, yet shape the soul, we free the mind. And that's all. Bye.